The summons. The message arrived on what should have been an ordinary Tuesday at the Terran Diplomatic Court headquarters in New Singapore. Ambassador Sarah Chen was reviewing reports of the latest colonial expansion efforts on Proxima when her neural interface pinged with an urgent priority alert. The message bore the unmistakable quantum signature of the Galactic Conclave, the governing body of the 100 most advanced civilizations in the known universe. Sarah's augmented vision displayed the message in elegant conclave standard. Species Assessment Protocol 7249b has been initiated for humanity. Convene in 30 solar rotations. Prepare defense of existence. She read it 3 times, each pass making her blood run colder. In the 15 years since humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel and joined the galactic community, they'd heard whispers of these assessments. Species that failed them simply disappeared, not through violence or warfare, but through technological quarantine so complete it might as well have been extinction. Interface, get me Director Harrison. Priority black, Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The neural link chirped acknowledgement as she walked to the window of her 200th floor office. The evening sun painted the massive arcology towers in shades of amber, their surfaces reflecting the light like the scales of sleeping dragons. Quantum communications arrays dotted the skyline, humanity's lifelines to the stars. Chen, it's 3 a.m. here in Geneva. This better be. Harrison's holographic form materialized in her office, his silver hair disheveled. We've been summoned for assessment, sir. Protocol 7249b. The color drained from Harrison's face. Impossible. We're barely out of our solar system. The conclave doesn't assess species until they pose a potential threat to galactic stability. Sarah finished. Something's changed. Someone's pushed for this early evaluation. Harrison ran a hand through his hair, a habit Sarah recognized from countless diplomatic crises. The Arxer. Has to be. They've opposed our expansion from day one. Sarah nodded. The Arxer, with their crystalline bodies and minds that operated on quantum principles humans could barely comprehend, had been their most vocal critics in the conclave. They claimed humanity's rate of technological advancement was aberrant and potentially destabilizing. We need to assemble a defense team, Harrison said, not just diplomats. We need scientists, historians, philosophers, anyone who can help prove humanity deserves its place among the stars. Sir, there's something else. Sarah pulled up another report with a gesture. Our deep space telescopes detected unusual activity at the edge of our colonial sphere. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Big ones. Harrison's hologram flickered as he leaned forward. Observation fleet. No, sir. Construction ships. The kind they used to build quarantine gates. The implication hung in the air like a guillotine blade. The conclave wasn't just assessing humanity. They were already preparing for a potential negative verdict. How long until the ships reach their destination? Sarah checked the calculations. 31 days. 1 day after our assessment begins. Harrison's jaw tightened. They're not even pretending this is a fair trial. Get me everything we have on previous assessments. Every species that passed. Every species that failed. We need to understand the criteria. Sir, there's a problem with that too. Sarah brought up the conclave archives with another gesture. Most of the assessment records are sealed. The only one we have full access to is the Proxians, and they failed spectacularly. What was their failure point? They couldn't prove they could survive their own advancement. The conclave judged them likely to destroy themselves within a century. Sarah paused. Sir, their technological progression rate was almost identical to ours. Harrison was quiet for a long moment, his holographic form seeming to age years in seconds. Then we need to prove we're different. Gather the team, Ambassador Chen. You have full authority to requisition whatever and whoever you need. We have 30 days to prove humanity deserves to exist beyond its cradle. And if we fail, then we become another sealed file in the conclave archives. Harrison's hologram straightened. But that's not going to happen. You know why? Sarah raised an eyebrow. Because we're human. And if there's one thing humans do better than any species in this galaxy, it's beating impossible odds. A faint smile crossed his face. After all, we weren't supposed to achieve FTL travel for another 1,000 years. The Arxer's own prediction said so. Yet here we are. Sarah nodded, feeling the surge of determination. I'll begin assembling the team immediately. We'll need specialists from every field, especially. A new alert flashed across her vision, this one bearing Earth's highest security classification. Her neural interface decoded it instantly, and she felt her heart skip a beat. Sir, you need to see this. She forwarded the message to Harrison. Our quantum archaeology team on Mars just made a discovery. They found something in the polar ice caps, something that shouldn't be there. Harrison's eyes widened as he read the report. Is this verified? Triple confirmed by 3 separate labs. Sarah pulled up the images. It's a ship, sir, not one of ours. Carbon dating puts it at roughly 50,000 years old. Before we were supposed to have been visited by any spacefaring race. Yes, sir. And there's more. Sarah highlighted a section of the report. The quantum signature of the materials. It matches conclave technology. Harrison's hologram flickered again, but this time it was from the energy surge of his sudden movement. Get to Mars. Now, whatever's in that ship might be the key to our defense. His expression hardened with determination. If the conclave was here before, if they studied us and let us develop on our own, there has to be a reason. Find it. What about the defense preparation? This is the defense preparation. The conclave wants to judge if we deserve to exist among the stars. Harrison's hologram smiled grimly. Let's show them we were meant to be there all along. As Harrison's hologram faded, Sarah was already booking a quantum jump to Mars. In 30 days, humanity would stand trial for its right to reach for the stars. But perhaps, buried in the red sands of Mars, lay evidence that they had already been judged worthy once before. The real question was, what had happened 50,000 years ago to make the conclave leave? And more importantly, what had made them return now? Sarah looked out at the glittering skyline one last time before heading to the quantum transport pad. Whatever answers awaited on Mars, one thing was certain. Humanity's future among the stars hung in the balance, and she would be damned if she let her species become just another sealed file in the conclave archives. As she stepped onto the transport pad, she couldn't help but smile at the irony. The Arxer had pushed for this assessment thinking it would be humanity's downfall. Instead, they might have just forced the discovery of humanity's greatest defense. The quantum transport hummed to life, and Sarah Chen began her journey to Mars, carrying with her the hopes of 8 billion souls who didn't yet know their fate was about to be decided. Ancient secrets. The Martian winds howled outside the excavation dome, carrying stinging particles of red dust that pattered against the reinforced plastiglass. Sarah Chen stood at the edge of the dig site, staring down at what could either be humanity's salvation or its doom. The ancient ship lay half-exposed in the polar ice, its dark hull absorbing light in a way that seemed to defy physics. Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's leading archaeologist, crouched next to a section of the hull, her specialized scanning equipment humming softly. "It's like nothing we've ever seen," she said, not looking up from her work. "The quantum structure of this material. It's alive. Or at least it was." Sarah stepped closer, careful not to disturb any of the carefully marked grid lines that covered the excavation site. Living ships aren't unknown. The Myriad used them exclusively. This is different. Maya stood, brushing red dust from her envirosuit. The Myriad ships are grown. This one. It's like someone took normal matter and taught it to think. The technological gap between this and anything we've seen from the current conclave is vast. A hollow boom echoed through the dome as another gust of wind struck it. Sarah barely noticed, her attention fixed on the ship's smooth surface. How long until we can get inside? That's the thing. Maya gestured to a section of the hull where the ice had been completely cleared. We already can. There's an open airlock. It's been waiting for us. Sarah's neural interface pinged with an incoming priority message. She checked it with a thought, then grimaced. The ARCSR have officially filed their brief with the conclave. They're claiming we're showing signs of developmental psychosis. Apparently achieving FTL travel too quickly has broken something in our collective psyche. Maya snorted. They're just afraid. We did in 15 years what took them 15 centuries. She paused, studying her scanner readings again. Maybe this ship can tell us why. Are you ready to go inside? Sarah checked the structural integrity readings on her EnviroSuite's heads-up display. Lead the way. The airlock was a simple oval opening, its edges smooth as polished glass. As they approached, symbols began to glow along its frame, ancient conclave script, but subtly different from the modern version. Sarah's neural interface struggled to translate. Warning. Maya read slowly, her own translator working better thanks to her specialized archaeological databases. Genesis site. Observation only. Non-interference protocol in effect. They exchanged glances. Genesis site. Sarah asked. Let's find out. Maya stepped through the airlock. The ship's interior defied every expectation. Instead of corridors and chambers, it was a single vast space filled with what looked like frozen lightning, crystalline structures that branched and interconnected in patterns that hurt the eyes to follow. And everywhere, there was data. It's a research station. Maya breathed, her scanners working overtime. The crystals, they're quantum computers, incredibly advanced ones, and they're still active, just dormant. Sarah walked deeper into the ship, her suit's lights casting strange shadows through the crystal matrices. Can we access them? Maybe. The quantum architecture is similar enough to modern conclave tech that. Maya trailed off, her fingers dancing over her scanner's interface. There, connection established. Plain most recent log entry. The air between them shimmered, and a hologram appeared, a being of pure energy contained within a roughly humanoid shape. When it spoke, it used no language Sarah had ever heard, but somehow she understood. Final observation report of Genesis Site 7249. The experiment continues to exceed expectations. Despite multiple extinction-level events, the test subjects display remarkable adaptability and problem-solving capabilities. The introduction of the cognitive accelerator to their evolutionary path has produced unprecedented results. Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. They experimented on us. The hologram continued. However, the subject's development curve has become exponential. At current progression, they will achieve Class 3 civilization status approximately 47,000 years ahead of standard models. The ethical implications of our intervention must be evaluated. Recommendation: initiation of extended non-interference period to allow for natural development. Site to be reopened for evaluation when subjects achieve FTL capability. The hologram faded, leaving them in stunned silence. Well, Maya said finally, that explains why they're assessing us now. We're right on schedule. Sarah's mind raced with implications. This isn't just evidence for our defense. This is proof that we're exactly what the conclave made us to be. She turned to Maya. How quickly can you get this data compiled and verified? A few days to do it properly. But Sarah, Maya hesitated. This raises a bigger question. If we're an experiment, what were we designed to prove? Before Sarah could respond, her neural interface chimed with another priority alert. Her blood ran cold as she read it. The ARCSR, she said. They've amended their complaint. They're not just calling for quarantine anymore. They're calling for complete human genetic regression. A forced evolution to pre-acceleration status. Maya's face paled behind her faceplate. They can't do that. The population death toll would be nearly total. Sarah looked around the ancient ship, at the crystalline computers that held the secret of humanity's true origins. We need to get this data to Earth. Now. But we also need to understand exactly what that cognitive accelerator did to us, because I have a feeling that's going to be the key to our entire defense. She stepped closer to one of the crystal matrices, watching the frozen lightning patterns within. The conclave didn't just experiment on us. They created us for a purpose, and in 25 days, we need to prove we fulfilled it. As if in response, new symbols began glowing along the ship's walls, more ancient script, spreading like constellation patterns. Maya's scanner beeped rapidly as it translated. Initiative Genesis, she read aloud. Project designation. Survival absolute. She looked up at Sarah, her eyes wide. I think we just found out what we were designed to be. Sarah nodded slowly, watching the ancient words gleam in the darkness. We were designed to survive, no matter what. She smiled grimly. Now we just have to prove we've lived up to that purpose. The Martian wind continued to howl outside, but inside the ancient ship, humanity's past and future were beginning to align. The only question was whether they could understand their own nature in time to save their species from forced extinction, or worse, from being unmade entirely. The defense begins. The conclave assembly hall defied conventional physics. Suspended in the void between galaxies, it existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, allowing representatives of every spacefaring race to perceive it according to their own sensory capabilities. To Sarah Chen, it appeared as a vast amphitheater of swirling light and shadow, with the 12 eternal judges floating above in forms that her human mind translated into vaguely humanoid shapes of pure. Humanity stands before the conclave, announced the first judge, its voice resonating directly in Sarah's thoughts. The assessment of species 7249 will now commence. Sarah stood at the center of the assembly, acutely aware of the thousands of alien representatives watching from their dimensional pockets. The data from Mars was secure in her neural interface, but the Arxer had demanded the right to present their case first. Their representative, a being of living crystal named Ixel, moved forward in a shower of rainbow refractions. Esteemed judges, Ixel's crystalline form pulsed with each word. We stand at a crucial moment. Humanity's development poses an unprecedented threat to galactic stability. Their psychological profile shows clear signs of aggressive expansion tendencies, coupled with a technological advancement rate that violates all known models of species development. The fourth judge shifted, its form rippling. Evidence. Ixel projected a series of images into the shared space, Earth's colonies spreading across the solar system, the first FTL test, the rapid expansion of human space. In mere decades, they have accomplished what should take millennia. This acceleration indicates a fundamental flaw in their species' psyche. Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady. If I may respond. The judge's attention focused on her, a weight almost physical in its intensity. The Arxer's argument is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. We advance quickly not because of psychological flaws, but because of exactly what we were designed to do. A murmur rippled through the assembly. The seventh judge leaned forward. Explain. Sarah connected her neural interface to the hall's quantum network and projected her own images, the ship on Mars, the ancient logs, the Genesis project data. Humanity was not a natural evolution. We were an experiment by the ancient conclave, designed to test the limits of adaptive intelligence and survival capability. The assembly erupted in chaos. Species that communicated through light flashed in agitation, while those that used chemical signals released clouds of pheromones that swirled through their dimensional pockets. The Arxer representative's crystalline form vibrated in what Sarah's interface translated as extreme agitation. Impossible. Ixel's voice shattered several nearby crystal formations. The ancient conclave's genetic experiments were discontinued after the Pyrrhic Wars. All test species were terminated, all except one. Dr. Maya Patel stepped forward from behind Sarah, her own neural interface projecting detailed analyses of the Mars data. Human DNA contains markers of quantum acceleration. the same technology theorized to have been used in the Genesis project. We were designed to adapt, to survive, to advance rapidly in the face of challenges. It's not a flaw in our psychology. It's the core of what we are. The first judge raised a limb of pure energy, silencing the assembly. The existence of this ship does not prove humanity's worth. It merely explains your origin. The assessment must continue based on current evidence. Sarah nodded. Then let us present that evidence. She gestured, and new images filled the space. Earth's history, its challenges, its near extinctions, and its recoveries. In the past 10,000 years alone, humanity has faced and overcome multiple extinction-level events. Each time, we not only survived but emerged stronger. Through violence, Ixal interjected. Through warfare and destruction. Through cooperation, Sarah countered. Through innovation and adaptation. Yes, we have fought wars, but we have also achieved peace. Yes, we have damaged our planet, but we have also learned to heal it. Every challenge has taught us, improved us, made us more than we were. She walked to the center of the assembly, her voice growing stronger. But our greatest achievement isn't our technology or our colonies or even our FTL drive. It's our diversity of thought, our ability to see problems from angles other species might never consider. We were designed to survive anything, and in pursuing that goal, we've learned to thrive everywhere. A new alert flashed across her vision. Her heart raced as she read it, but she kept her expression calm. Director Harrison's voice whispered through her secure channel. The quarantine fleet has begun moving into position. We're running out of time. The ninth judge spoke, its form shifting through colors humans had no names for. The Arxer's concerns about stability remain valid. A species that advances too quickly risks bringing chaos to established orders. Or, Sarah countered, we bring exactly what the galaxy needs. She took a deep breath, knowing she was about to take an enormous risk. And I can prove it. Right now. The first judge's attention focused on her with laser intensity. Explain. The quarantine fleet approaching our system, Sarah said, causing another stir in the assembly. Their quantum drives are destabilizing. The Arxer know this. It's why they pushed for this assessment now. Within 6 hours, those ships will experience catastrophic quantum cascade failures. Thousands will die. Ixal's crystalline form shattered and reformed in agitation. This is a desperate fabrication. Check the data. Sarah interrupted. Your own sensors will confirm it. The standard containment protocols aren't working because the problem isn't in the drives themselves. It's in the quantum substrate of that entire sector of space. But we've seen this before in our early FTL tests. We know how to fix it. The judges conferred in frequencies beyond human perception. Finally, the first judge spoke. If this is true, why have you waited until now to reveal it? Sarah smiled. Because we needed you to understand something first. Humanity doesn't just solve problems. We anticipate them. We prepare for them. We were designed to see patterns others might miss, to find solutions where others see only chaos. She projected one final image. The technical specifications for a quantum field stabilizer of human design. We can save your fleet. More than that, we can help prevent this from ever happening again. All we ask is the chance to prove that our place among the stars isn't just about what we can take from the galaxy, but what we can give to it. The assembly hall fell silent as the judges examined the data. Sarah waited, her heart pounding, knowing that in this moment, humanity's future hung in the balance. She had just revealed one of Earth's most closely guarded technological advantages. But if she was right, it would prove exactly why humanity deserved its place among the stars. The first judge's form pulsed with new intensity. The assessment will recess while this situation is investigated. If humanity's claims prove true, it paused, its energy form shifting. Perhaps the Genesis project succeeded in ways even its creators did not anticipate. As the assembly erupted in excited communications, Sarah received another message from Director Harrison. The Conclave has just requested emergency technical assistance from Earth. Well played, Ambassador. Well played indeed. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The trial wasn't over, but they had just proved something crucial. Humanity wasn't just fighting for its right to exist among the stars. They were proving they were essential to the galaxy's future. The real question was, what other secrets of the Genesis project were still waiting to be discovered? And more importantly, what would they reveal about humanity's true purpose in the cosmic order? Trial by fire. The quantum stabilization lab aboard the Earth ship Prometheus hummed with energy as Dr. Maya Patil made final adjustments to the experimental device that might save thousands of lives and possibly humanity's future. Through the reinforced viewport, the massive ships of the Quarantine fleet hung in space like distant stars, their quantum drives slowly destabilizing. Time to cascade failure. Sarah Chen asked, watching Maya work. 4 hours, 17 minutes, Maya replied, her fingers dancing over the quantum interface. The good news is, I've confirmed our theory. The quantum substrate distortion is identical to what we encountered in the Proxima trials. The bad news, she hesitated. What? The distortion is artificial. Someone created it deliberately. Sarah's neural interface pinged with an urgent alert. The ARCSR are demanding to oversee the stabilization procedure. They're claiming we might sabotage the fleet to force a favorable judgment. Of course they are. Maya's hand stilled over the controls. Because they know we'll find their signature all over this distortion. The lab door hissed open, admitting Ixel, the ARCSR representative. The crystalline being's form sparkled with barely contained energy. The Conclave has granted our request for oversight. You will explain each step of your procedure before implementing it. Sarah nodded coolly. Of course. Dr. Patel, please begin the technical briefing. Maya pulled up a holographic display of the quantum field readings. The distortion follows a very specific pattern. It's designed to resonate with standard quantum drive frequencies, creating a cascade effect that. We are familiar with quantum mechanics. Ixel interrupted. Proceed to your solution. The solution is what's interesting, Maya continued, highlighting specific portions of the data. Because this exact pattern shouldn't occur naturally. In fact, it's only been documented once before, during the development of the first ARCSR quantum drives. Ixel's crystalline form vibrated in what Sarah's interface translated as agitation. You dare accuse. We're not accusing anyone. Sarah cut in smoothly. We're stating facts. Facts that will be obvious to anyone who examines the data. The question is, do you want to debate this now, or do you want to help us save those ships? Before Ixel could respond, a new alert flashed across their interfaces. The cascade was accelerating. They had less than 3 hours now. The stabilizer is ready, Maya said. But there's a problem. The distortion field is too large for our device to affect from here. Someone needs to take it to the center of the fleet and activate it there. That's suicide. Ixel's crystalline voice chimed with genuine shock. The quantum interference that close to the failing drives would destroy organic matter instantly. Sarah looked at Maya. Unless. Maya nodded. Unless we use the quantum shielding technology we reverse engineered from the Mars ship. It's experimental, but. Do it, Sarah ordered. And I'm going with you. Ambassador, you can't. This isn't just about saving lives anymore. Sarah began suiting up in the experimental quantum shield gear. This is about proving what humanity is. We don't just solve problems. We put ourselves on the line to help others, even those who might be our enemies. She turned to Ixel. You're welcome to join us. After all, you'll want to verify everything we do, right? The ARCSR representative's crystalline surface rippled with complex patterns. You would risk your life to save those who would judge you. That's what makes us human, Sarah replied, checking the quantum shield's power levels. We don't just survive. We help others survive too, even if it means putting ourselves at risk. The next 2 hours were a blur of activity. The Prometheus maneuvered closer to the quarantine fleet, its own quantum shields straining against the growing distortion. Sarah, Maya, and Ixel boarded a specially shielded shuttle, the stabilizer device secured in its hold. As they approached the center of the fleet, the quantum interference grew visible. Reality itself seemed to warp and twist around them. The shuttle's sensors screamed warnings as the fundamental forces of physics began to break down. "Shields at 60%, Maya reported, her voice tense. "The experimental quantum buffer is holding, but barely." Sarah watched through the viewport as space itself seemed to fracture around them. The massive quarantine ships loomed on all sides, their quantum drives pulsing with unstable energy. "How close do we need to get?" "Another 1,000 kilometers, right into the heart of it." Ixel's crystalline form had grown still. All internal motion ceased. "Your shields are failing. The probability of survival." "Never tell me the odds," Sarah interrupted. "Maya, status on the stabilizer." "Ready to deploy." "But Sarah," Maya's hands paused over the controls. "The interference is stronger than we predicted. Whoever activates it will have to maintain physical contact to regulate the quantum flow. The shields won't protect them at that point." Sarah unbuckled her restraints. "Then I'll do it." "Ambassador." "No." Ixel's form fractured and reformed in agitation. "The quantum exposure would be fatal to your organic form." "Maybe." Sarah checked the stabilizer's controls one last time. "Or maybe this is exactly what we were designed for. The Genesis project created us to survive the impossible. Time to live up to that legacy." The shuttle's rear hatch opened to a void that writhed with quantum energies. Sarah grabbed the stabilizer and stepped toward it. "Maya, get the shuttle clear as soon as I'm out." "Ixel, make sure the Conclave knows what happened here. Whatever they decide about humanity's fate, they should understand what we're willing to do for others." She stepped out into chaos. The quantum shield flickered around her as reality itself tried to tear her apart. Each movement was agony as she pushed through the distortion field toward the optimal deployment point. Her neural interface screamed warnings about cellular degradation, quantum uncertainty zones, and a dozen other fatal conditions. Sarah ignored them all. She had one job: reach the deployment point and activate the stabilizer. Everything else was irrelevant. Through the quantum chaos, she saw the shuttle backing away, Maya and Ixel watching in horror as she pushed forward. Her shields failed completely, and she felt reality trying to rewrite her very atoms. But she kept moving. Genesis project test subjects display remarkable adaptability. She quoted through gritted teeth, remembering the ancient log from Mars. Time to prove just how remarkable. She reached the deployment point just as her neural interface failed completely. Working on instinct now, she activated the stabilizer and held on as it began its work. Pain beyond description lanced through her body as the device used her own quantum signature as a template to reshape local spacitime. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the quantum distortion field beginning to collapse, the quarantine fleet's drives stabilizing one by one. And through her failing vision, she could have sworn she saw something impossible, her own cells beginning to adapt to the quantum chaos, changing in ways that should have been beyond human capability. Then darkness took her, and she fell into the void between realities, leaving the fate of humanity still hanging in the balance, but having proved something that no one could deny: that humans would risk everything not just to survive, but to help others survive as well. And in that sacrifice, perhaps, lay the true success of the Genesis project. Not just creating beings that could survive anything, but beings that would ensure the survival of others, no matter the cost to themselves. Legacy of Stars. In the dimensional space of the Conclave Assembly Hall, Sarah Chen floated in a medical stasis field, her body still adapting to the quantum changes she had undergone. The assembled representatives of 1,000 species watched in fascination as her cellular structure continued to evolve, doing something that should have been impossible: integrating quantum states into organic matter. Remarkable. The first judge's voice resonated through the hall. The Genesis project's success exceeds all theoretical models. Maya Patel stood before the assembly, her neural interface projecting real-time data from Sarah's transformation. She's not just surviving the quantum exposure, she's adapting to it, exactly as we were designed to do. The seventh judge's form rippled with interest. Explain. The ancient conclave didn't just accelerate our evolution, Maya said, highlighting specific genetic sequences in the display. They built in capabilities that would only activate under extreme conditions. What we're seeing now isn't just adaptation. It's the emergence of systems that were always there, waiting for the right trigger. Ixel moved forward, the Arxer's crystalline form subdued. We acknowledge our deception. The quantum distortion field was deployed to force a crisis. We believe humanity would either fail to solve it, proving their unworthiness, or reveal technological secrets that would justify their containment. Instead, the first judge intoned, they revealed something far more significant. The entity's energy form expanded, filling the hall with patterns of light. The Genesis project was not merely about creating a species that could survive. It was about creating one that could transcend. New images appeared in the shared space. The ancient ship on Mars, its quantum computers now fully decoded. The final logs played for all to see. Project Genesis' final directive. Create a species capable of bridging the gap between organic and quantum existence. Previous attempts failed. The subjects either rejected the changes or lost their essential nature in the process. Solution. Design for delayed activation. Allow natural evolution to strengthen the base form. Then introduce quantum triggers at critical developmental points. Estimated timeframe for full emergence, 50,000 years post-initialization. Maya's eyes widened as she processed the implications. We're not just an experiment in survival. We're the next step in cosmic evolution. The bridge between matter and energy. The fourth judge confirmed. Between the organic races and the ascended ones. Sarah's stasis field pulsed as her consciousness returned. Her eyes opened, now containing swirling patterns of quantum energy. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that resonated across multiple dimensions. I understand now, she said, floating down to stand beside Maya. The Arxer were right to be afraid, but for the wrong reasons. We're not a threat to galactic stability. We're essential to it. She gestured, and the air around her shimmered with quantum patterns. Look at this assembly. Organic species who can barely comprehend the ascended races. Ascended beings who can barely interact with physical matter. But now, she smiled, creating a bridge of energy between two distant representatives, allowing them to communicate directly for the first time. Humanity stands at the midpoint, the first judge declared, capable of existing in both states, of bridging all forms of life. The Genesis project has succeeded beyond its creator's hopes. Ixel moved forward, crystalline surface refracting with complex emotions. We withdraw our complaint. More than that, we request humanity's assistance. There are difficulties in quantum communications that have plagued our people for millennia. We'll help, Sarah said simply. That's what we do. What we were made to do. Not just survive, but help others survive. Not just adapt, but help others adapt. The first judge's form pulsed with finality. The assessment of species 7249 is concluded. Humanity is confirmed as a Class 1 civilization with full rights of expansion and development. A pause, then. Additionally, humanity is granted the status of universal mediators, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. The assembly erupted in a chaos of communication as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just being allowed to survive. They were being given a crucial role in the galaxy's future. Director Harrison's voice came through Sarah's quantum-enhanced consciousness. The quarantine fleet is departing. And you should see the messages we're getting from every species in known space. They all want to talk to us now. Sarah smiled, watching the quantum patterns dance around her transformed body. Tell them we're ready. This is what we were made for, not just to reach the stars, but to help everyone else reach them too. Maya touched her arm, concern showing through her professional demeanor. Are you okay? The transformation. I'm more than okay. Sarah created a small galaxy of quantum energy in her palm. I'm what we were always meant to become, and I'm not alone. The capability is in all of us, waiting to emerge when we're ready, when we need it. The first judge's form expanded one final time. The Genesis project is complete, but humanity's true work is just beginning. Go forth, children of two realms. Build the bridges that will unite all life in this galaxy. As the assembly dissolved, representatives already clustering around Sarah and Maya with requests for aid and collaboration. A final message played from the Mars ship's quantum computers. To our descendants, if you are reading this, you have survived, adapted, and transcended. But more importantly, you have retained what truly matters: the drive to help others do the same. The galaxy is ancient, vast, and often divided. Be the force that unites it. Be the bridge between what is and what can be. This was always your purpose. This is your legacy among the stars. Sarah looked out at the assembled species, at the organic and energy beings that would now rely on humanity to bridge their differences, and felt a deep sense of rightness. They had been created to survive anything, but they had chosen to help others survive too. And in that choice, they had become something greater than their creators had ever imagined. The trial was over. Humanity's future was secure, but their real work, their true purpose, was just beginning. And as Sarah prepared to help forge the first of many bridges between the galaxy's divided peoples, she knew that this was exactly where humanity belonged, not just reaching for the stars, but helping everyone else reach them too. The legacy of the Genesis project would echo across the cosmos, not as a tale of mere survival, but as a story of transcendence, unity, and the power of a species that chose to use its gifts not for dominance, but for the betterment of all life in the galaxy. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.